Good morning. My name is Dr. Steve Stride, and I want to welcome you to the 5th episode of the Surf Shack. And today we're going to be talking about pursuing excellence in self. Basically, each of us has a unique purpose for being on this planet. And based on my Christian belief system, in Psalms 139:16, it says that your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. David realized that God had a specific purpose for his life. And it's very important to understand and to seek to understand why we are on earth. What is the purpose of our existence? Because when we live into that has a very powerful effect on those around us. And so it's our personal responsibility to make the effort to find out what's going on. I remember when I was in my junior year at San Bernardino, Cal State San Bernardino, I remember that there was a table set out, for different universities. And Azusa Pacific University set up a booth. And, I wanted to help people. I wanted to play a role in helping people to improve and grow. And because of my Christian belief system, I didn't really understand if it was possible to infuse psychology with Christian beliefs. That's honestly where I was at that particular time. So when I went up to the booth, and Azusa Pacific was offering a marriage and family therapy program, and I talked to them about, how they brought together Christianity and psychology. And it was a wonderful experience. So not only was I learning about the field of psychology, but it was in agreement with the belief system that I had. And so it was a wonderful experience for me. And a part of the journey there, so it wasn't just classes that we were taking. We also had individual therapy and group therapy, which I think is really important, that we need to understand what is going on within our lives, what we're dealing with. And as we process those things, then I believe it makes us a better therapist. And so this was good. It was a good and painful experience that I had, because it forced me to unearth some difficult things that I had been through, in my childhood. Now, at the time, I was good friends with a pastor in Colton, California. And we would meet weekly, and we would walk around the neighborhood and go to breakfast, and it was just part of our routine. Now, I was at the point in my training where I was ready to do internship, where basically I would be accumulating hours that would fulfill my requirement, for school. I had to do a certain amount of hours while in school and a certain amount of hours outside. Well, I was having some difficulty finding an internship, but so I thought, maybe I could do something, here at the church where I could meet the needs of the people. And so I was prepared to come and talk to the pastor about that. Well, when we were at McDonald's eating our breakfast as normal, having my sausage and egg, breakfast with hash browns and orange juice, the pastor, before I had the chance to share, asked if I would be interested in working with folks within the church. And so it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, this was meant to be. Everything, the stars aligned perfectly. And so I got started, and we created a room and put a curtain up, and next thing you know, we made this makeshift room, and I started seeing people over the course of the next 5 years. And so it was an amazing experience that started in April of 1996. And, I'm glad to say that I'm still going strong, doing it in 2025. And so it was a phenomenal experience. Now, I don't know about you, but I was a poor college student, so I was making a little bit of money, at the church, doing my internship hours, but not much. And but I was looking, to see if I could make a little bit more. So down the road from in Colton, I went to San Bernardino Valley Community College, and I went there, seeing if I could teach a course, to learn. And it was another one of those amazing moments where I met an amazing woman that was the chair of the psychology department. And I came in and said, hey, I just finished up, got my master's, looking to add some income to things. And so I said, I don't have any teaching experience, but I'm willing to learn. And this wonderful, gracious lady said, well, hey, everybody's got to start somewhere. And so it was an incredible opportunity that I was given. And so I would go, I sat in on her entire introduction to psychology course, and I took copious notes, and had an outline and did all of this stuff to prepare. And then the next semester I was given, one course to teach. And I remember that first time, I was up front teaching, and it was an incredible feeling, so it was a situation where I was just looking, to make a living. And, the next thing I know, I'm standing in front of these students, and this incredible synergy between, the students and me, and I would talk about something and then they would respond, and it was just like an incredible feeling to be in front of a class. So just a gift that I did not even know existed appeared in April of 1998. And I've been on an amazing journey up to 2017. Just incredible got to teach, several different places, organizations, and got to touch and impact a number of people's lives. And so I had two pieces that I knew about myself, is like, I remember when I started doing therapy, I knew right from the beginning, I was like, this feels right. I'm supposed to be in this type of setting, working with people. And something I learned very early on is I had really good boundaries, so people would share things with me and I'd be all in to what they were talking about. But as soon as the appointment was over, I had an ability to just kind of put it away. And and I did that from session to sessions and session to session. And when I would go home, I would not bring it home. And we were taught in our classes that you have to have good boundaries or you're gonna burn out. And so I found out something about myself that I didn't know, that I had this capacity to engage deeply and then be able to go away and live my life. And so, and then the teaching, that was just another gift. Now, interestingly enough, another part of the story, the most important part of the story, is down the road from, there was Colton, there was the church in Colton, San Bernardino Valley College, and right behind the college, there was an elementary school. And at that elementary school was my soon-to-be wife. And so back then, I went to a, dating place, and you actually had to go there and, you would look at pictures and stuff. Well, anyways, as I was there, a woman walked in, and she had a Winnie the Pooh dress on. And I was just like blown away by this woman. And so I went to the front desk and I asked who it was, and they let me know. And shortly thereafter, we went, on our first date. And I made the mistake of going to the spaghetti factory when she wanted to go to the Olive Garden, which is a place that we love to this day. But I wish I could take that back. And it was kind of funny because I was doing karate, and somebody kicked me in the shin. So I came in into this date limping in, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's not gonna like me. And so, but anyways, so we, we went, on, a few dates, and 3 months later, we met on, February 17th, 1998, and we were married May 24th, 1998. So over the course of 3 months, this budding romance developed. Now, so that was another thing. And then remember the lady that gave me the job at the college? That same lady recommended, a college, for me to go to for my doctorate. And so I followed her advice and began my coursework in the fall of 1999. And so just so many pieces had fallen into place, and it became very clear, you know, who I'm supposed to be with, and kind of an interesting thing is that, you know, in the dating relationship with my spouse, we had talked about having 4 children, and we have 4 children. And we talked about the importance of, you know, creating memories, you know, not waiting to do things. And so we've had many adventures, you know. Of course, we're Disney fans, so early on in our marriage, you know, we would just go to Disneyland and just to walk around and to enjoy the atmosphere. And now that we have children and they're grown up a bit, and we frequented Disney World, and we prioritized, you know, living our life now. Now, because of life events that have occurred for both of us, we made it a priority to not wait to enjoy things, you know, to go and to live fully today. And I can honestly say that I don't regret that at all. I'm really grateful that we have decided, you know, to grab for life, you know, to travel, to do things, you know, because this life is short and not guaranteed. And so if I can say anything to you all today, you know, make sure that you are prioritizing, you know, how you want to live your life, what you want to do, and completely go for it. And you definitely will not regret it. And so so that's kind of the takeaway message for today, is to seek excellence in yourself, you know, to seek excellence within your family, and to live fervently today. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.